Now, in the previous video, I said that the Pac-Man moves randomly, except when he's in the vicinity of a ghost. And when he's in the vicinity of a ghost, he'll immediately eat the ghost. Like right here, he's in the vicinity of this ghost, so when he goes there, he'll just eat him. So how does Pac-Man know if there's any ghosts surrounding him? Uh, so the way the algorithm works conceptually is this, is we're always keeping track of where Pac-Man currently is located. We have Pac-Man's coordinates always available to us, and it's in um, this object right here, current Pac-Man coordinates. So like right after I place Pac-Man on the grid, I also store him in this current Pac-Man coordinate object, where it's just this, and where I'm just storing his y and his x coordinates. Okay, um, and then I pass those coordinates into the sense ghost function right here, current Pac-Man coordinates. Okay, and then what that function does is conceptually what it does is it looks in the vicinity of Pac-Man. So it looks all around here. Follow this cursor. You can see it examines all these cells. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So nine different cells. Of course, this one never will have a Pac-Man in it. I mean, never have a ghost in it. But we're going to check it nevertheless. So what it does, it starts at the top left, scans across, uh, then goes to this one, scans across, then goes to this one and scans across. And so how do we know where to start? Well, we look at Pac-Man's current location, and we just subtract one y coordinate from where he's located currently, and one x coordinate, which puts us up here. And then then we start here, and then we scan across, and then etc. And we do that with a for loop. So if we look at our code, here we're passing in the Pac-Man coordinate, and we 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 determine or create the start location by taking the Pac-Man coordinates y position and subtracting 1. Same way with x, we subtract 1. We know the ending coordinates by adding 1 to the current one. So if we add 1, both the x and y coordinates, that's down here. And then we just use a for loop to iterate through y, to the y-axis. So we start at here, and then we go through the x-axis, going through there. Okay, and then down here, if we see that where the y and x are currently, there's a ghost character, then we just return that ghost coordinate position back to the move Pac-Man function that we saw earlier, and we put the Pac-Man in that coordinate, and that's how it works. So these for loops, these two for loops right here, essentially scan the cells around the Pac-Man from the top left, moving across all the way to the bottom right. And then there is one actual additional thing that you have to add in here, which is, and let's start from the beginning here. So if we start from here, for example, consider this location. Here, since we're doing a scan like this, when we get to this cell is outside the bounds of the array of those internal arrays, as is this one, as is this one. And so we need to build in some conditionals not to consider those positions, because if we do try to reference those areas, they're outside the bounds of the array, and an exception would be thrown. So that's where we have this conditional code right here, which is if x is less than 0, or I mean, if y is less than 0, if x is less than 0, or if y is more than the grid length, or if x is more than its array length, then we don't consider those positions. And actually, I'm actually writing down to the console, this is outside the grid. It's just a sort of a debugging statement. We only consider the ones that are inside the grid. And that's how this sense ghost function works. And it's incredibly relevant um, to the Conway's Game of Life assignment. You're going to need to use something very similar in your own when you code Conway's Game of Life, because consider every cell that you're looking at, you have to decide whether it lives or dies based on how many cells are surrounding it. So you're going to run a very similar function to the one that Pac-Man runs when it's looking for ghosts in its vicinity. Whereas the only difference is that in Conway's Game of Life, each cell has to look at all the cells in its vicinity to see whether they're alive or dead.